What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create an invoicing and payment reminder automation on make.com. Let's get started. I'm using monday.com as my project management tool. Monday, I've created a board that I've renamed to Lax Agency Clients. And here is where we're going to add our agency clients. So we are collecting their full name. We are assigning them to a member of our team. We're also collecting the date we created them, the last time we updated them, their status. And on status, we have intake, nurture clients, onboard, send contract, send invoice, and client upsell as the status of each of our clients. We're also collecting their first name, last name, company name, email, and their phone number. Here, I'll create a webhook that will be triggered after we change the status of one of our clients to send invoice. Here, I'm going to search for webhooks, then click on custom webhook. Here, I'll click on add, then I'll rename our webhook to invoicing webhook. Then click on save. And here I'll copy the link of our webhook and click on OK. On Monday, on our Lax Agency Clients board, I'll click on integrate. And then here, I'll click on webhooks. Then I would like to send a webhook when the status of one of our clients changes to something. So I'll use this as our template. Here I'm going to use another account. Then I'll paste the URL that we copied from our webhook here. I'll run our webhook. Then click on connect. It says fail communicate with the URL provided. So here we'll return this challenge text using a webhook response. So I'll add another module, and on webhooks I'll click on webhook response. Here I'll add two curly braces. Then I'll write challenge right here. Then add the challenge text and then click on OK. Then now I'll run our webhook again and click on connect. You can see that it ran successfully. So here I'll delete this webhook response and set up our webhook. So I like to send a webhook when the status of one of our clients changes to send invoice. Then I'll click on create automation. Now to test if our webhook works, I'll run it. Then on Monday, I'll change the status of one of our clients to send invoice. Here you can see that it ran successfully, and we're getting this specific client whose status we just changed. Now to get the rest of their data, like their first name, last name, their email, or their company name, I'll copy this pulse ID. And then here I'll add another module and search for Monday. Then here I'll search for get an item module. Here you'll need to create a connection between your Make account and your monday.com account. To do that, just click on add and then rename your connection right here. And then here you'll need to add API key. Now to get your API key from Monday, click on your profile, then click on administration. Here click on connections, click on API. Here you'll see your API token. All you have to do is copy it and paste it right here. Then click on save and your connection will be created. But since I had already created my connection, I'm going to close and choose my connection right here. Now for the ID, we're going to add the post ID. Our board is going to be Lax Agency Clients. So I'm going to click on Lax Agency Clients and click on OK. Now here I'll run this module by pasting the post ID that we copied from our webhook. Click on OK. Here you can see that we're getting their data. So we're getting their first name, last name, company name, their email, and their phone number. Now with their data, we can create an invoice and send the invoice to our client via email. I'm going to use Stripe as my payment provider. So I'll add another module and search for Stripe. Since these are new clients, we're going to start by creating our clients on Stripe. So on Stripe, I'm going to click on create a customer. Here we're going to add a description of our services, which is automation services. And then for the email address, we're going to add the email address from Monday. So this email address right here. We can add their name. So we can add their first name and last name, and their phone number over here. Now, if you have the address, you can add the address, the shipping address, the payment method, and click on OK. After creating our customer on Stripe, the next thing we're going to do is on Stripe, we're going to create an invoice item. So for the customer ID, we're going to get the customer ID from the create a customer module. After we created our customer on Stripe, here we'll input an amount. I'm going to choose to input an amount by a total amount, but you can also choose to input amount by an unit amount and quantity, or by an existing price object. And here we'll add the amount that we are charging for our services. For example, we can say it's $2,000. Now, one thing you need to note over here is that the amount that you add here will be in cents. So we'll need to add 2 extra zeros to convert the amount into dollars. For the currency, we're going to use USD. Then we can add automation services as our description. You can also add the start and end period and click on OK. Now we can create an invoice that we're going to send to our client via email. So on Stripe, I'll search for create an invoice and click on create an invoice module from our create a customer module. For the collection method, you can either choose to charge automatically or to send an invoice. If you choose to send an invoice, you need to add the days until due. For example, you can add 3 days. You can add the description right here as automation services. And click on OK. After creating the invoice, on Stripe, I'll search for finalize the draft invoice module. And here we'll add the invoice ID of the invoice that we created on the create an invoice module. And click on OK. With our invoice created, we can send it to our clients via email. So I'll add another module, and then on email, I'll click on send an email module. I'll rename this email to invoice email and click on OK. Now for our invoice email, the email recipient, we're going to add the client's email from Monday. So this email address right here. The subject line of this email could be on the lines of your invoice from Lax Automation Agency. Content type, we're choosing plain text. And the content of this email could be on the lines of hi first name. So we're adding the first name right here. As we get started with the automation services, here's your invoice for the upcoming work. You can review and make your payments using the secure link below. And we are adding the Stripe payment link over here. So this is the invoice URL right here. We're also adding invoice details like total amount, and adding the amount due and the due date, which is this due date over here. Then we're concluding the email by saying, if you have any questions regarding the invoice or payment process, feel free to reach out to me directly at. Then we're adding our email and our phone number. We're excited to get started and deliver exceptional results for your business. Thank you for trusting Lax Automation Agency. Best regards, Brandon. Then click on OK. After sending our invoice, we can create another module that searches if the invoice has been paid after the due date. Then if the invoice hasn't been paid, we are going to send our client a payment email reminder 1 day after the due date. So yeah, I'll add another module and search for tools. Here we're going to set a date variable. So I'll name our variable to date, then give it the value now, then click on OK. Now here, I'll search for invoice using the search invoice module. Here, we'll add our customer ID from our create a customer module. The status of our invoice should be open. For the collection method, we're going to choose to charge automatically. And then I'm going to limit it to 1, then click on OK. So here, we can set up a filter and label it to due date. And then we can set up a condition and say that the date should equal to, then I'm going to choose date time operators. And then here, the date should equal to the due dates. Right here. So if it's the due date, we're going to search if our invoice has been paid. If our invoice is open, we're going to send our client a payment email reminder. So here, search for send an email module. Then rename this module to payment email reminder. Then click on OK. For payment email reminder, we're going to add our client's email from Monday here as the recipient. The subject line of this email could be on the lines of friendly reminder, invoice past due. The content type, we're going to choose plain text, and the content of this email could be on the lines of hi first name. I wanted to send you a quick reminder that your invoice for our services with Lax Automation Agency was due yesterday and is still outstanding. For the invoice details, we're adding the original due date, which is this due date right here. We're also adding outstanding amount, which is this amount due right here. We're telling them you can make your payment securely using the link below. We're telling them pay your invoice using this URL, which is this invoice URL right here. Then we are concluding the email by saying we are eager to continue automating your business and deliver the results you're expecting. Finalizing this payment will ensure we can move forward without any delays. If you've already made the payment and it hasn't reflected on our end yet, please disregard this message. Otherwise, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need assistance with the payment process. We appreciate your attention to this matter and look forward to continuing our work together. Best regards, Brandon. I'm going to click on OK. Here, we'll set up a filter to send the payment reminder email one day after the due date. I'll label this filter to payment reminder. We'll set up the first condition as the amount due has to exist. And then here, we'll also set up another condition and say that the date should equal to. Then here, I'll add days and add the due date right here. So we like to send this email one day after the due date right here. Then click on OK. Now, to test if automation works, I'll run it. And then on Monday, I'll change the status of one of our clients to send invoice. You can see that our automation ran successfully. We triggered our webhook after we changed the status of one of our clients to send invoice. Then we got their data over here, created our client on Stripe, and we created an invoice item and created an invoice. Then we sent them the invoice using this invoice email with this subject line right here. Then when it's the due date, we are going to search if our client has paid our invoice. And then if our invoice is open, we are going to send the payment reminder email to our client, reminding them to pay their invoice one day after the due date has passed. This is a simple automation that you can create right now on Make to automate creating and sending invoices to your clients. It also sends payment reminders to your clients if they still haven't paid their invoice after the due date has passed. Now, if you have an automation or a system in mind that you'd like for me to create, just comment down below in the comment section. But for now, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.